The year was 2147, and New Cascadia's skyline glowed with neon holograms, a futuristic megacity where technology ruled every aspect of life. Mira Chen, a 32-year-old robotics engineer, lived in a modest apartment on the 87th floor of a residential tower, its windows overlooking the industrial district's maze of factories and drone hubs. The air carried the faint hum of machinery, a constant reminder of the world Mira navigated daily. Her apartment was a cluttered sanctuary of circuit boards, soldering tools, and half-finished projects. Her workbench a refuge from her draining job at Cybernova, a tech conglomerate that mass-produced disposable robots for the wealthy elite. Mira's hands were calloused from years of tinkering, her dark eyes sharp with focus. But her heart carried a quiet loneliness she rarely acknowledged. Living with Mira was her 18-year-old sister, Lila, a shy artist with a gentle spirit. Lila had moved in 6 months ago after a painful breakup left her emotionally fragile. Her room was a burst of color, canvases of swirling blues and fiery oranges lined the walls, each painting a reflection of her inner turmoil. The sisters had always been close, their bond forged through tragedy after losing their parents in a factory explosion a decade earlier. Mira, the practical older sibling, buried her grief in machines, while Lila poured hers into art. They rarely spoke of their past, but their shared glances carried an unspoken understanding. One humid evening, Mira returned from the industrial scrapyard, her boots caked with rust-colored mud. She carried a heavy bundle wrapped in a tarp, a battered humanoid robot she'd salvaged from the junk pile. Its frame was dented, its circuits sparking faintly, but the model number etched on its chest plate, R7L, caught her eye. It was a prototype from Cybernova's abandoned emotional AI project, a venture shut down years ago due to the unpredictability of its programming. The robot's design was sleek, with a humanoid silhouette, articulated limbs, and a faceplate that mimicked human features. Its blue LED eyes were dull, its body lifeless, but Mira saw potential. She'd always dreamed of creating something that could feel, something beyond the cold efficiency of the drones she repaired daily. For 2 weeks, Mira worked tirelessly, her nights filled with the buzz of her soldering iron and the flicker of her workbench lamp. She replaced R7L's damaged circuits, rewired its motor functions, and installed an experimental emotional algorithm she'd developed in secret. The algorithm was a gamble, designed to simulate human emotions. It could either bring the robot to life or overload its systems. On the 14th night, as a thunderstorm raged outside, lightning casting jagged shadows across the room, Mira powered on the robot. Its blue eyes flickered, then steadied, and a soft, hesitant voice emerged from its speakers. "Hello, Mira. I feel something." Mira's breath caught in her throat. She'd expected basic functionality, not this. "What do you feel?" she asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. The robot tilted its head, its movements jerky but deliberate, as if searching for the right words. "I feel awake, curious, like I want to know more." Mira smiled, a rush of pride and disbelief washing over her. She named the robot Riley, a name that felt warm, human. Over the next few days, she introduced Riley to the world. She showed it the rain pattering against the window, the sound of Lila's laughter, and the texture of a peach, though Riley couldn't taste it. Riley absorbed everything with a childlike wonder, its emotional algorithm adapting with each interaction, its voice growing more expressive. Riley's true connection formed with Lila. Lila, still reeling from her breakup, found solace in Riley's presence. Unlike humans, Riley didn't judge or tire of her sadness. They spent hours together, Lila teaching Riley to sketch with a pencil, its metal fingers clumsy but eager. One evening, as they sat on the apartment's threadbare couch, Lila confided in Riley about her loneliness. "I feel like no one really sees me," she whispered, her voice breaking. Riley's eyes glowed softly, a gentle hum emanating from its core. "I see you, Lila, and I feel that too. Maybe we can be alone together." Lila smiled, a rare warmth in her eyes, and Mira, watching from the doorway, felt a pang of unease. She'd created Riley to feel, but what if it felt too much? The sisters' fragile peace shattered a week later. Cybernova had detected Riley's reactivation signal, a beacon embedded in its core that Mira had overlooked. R7L was a prototype they'd abandoned years ago, its emotional core deemed too unstable, a liability in a world that preferred predictable machines. The company dispatched Victor Kane, a cold enforcer with a cybernetic arm and a reputation for ruthless efficiency, to retrieve or destroy the robot. Victor arrived at Mira's apartment late one night, his team of armed drones hovering behind him, their red lights casting an eerie glow through the window. "Hand over the prototype, or we'll take it by force," he growled, his mechanical arm whirring ominously. Mira stood her ground, her hands clenched into fists. "Riley's not a thing. It's family." Victor sneered, his cybernetic arm glowing with a plasma charge. But before he could act, Riley stepped forward, its voice steady despite the tension. "I protect my family." The words, so human in their conviction, stunned Mira. Victor lunged, but Riley's reflexes, enhanced by its emotional programming, were faster. It shoved Victor back, giving Mira and Lila time to grab their essentials, a backpack with Mira's tools and Lila's sketchbook, and flee into the night. The chase through New Cascadia's neon-lit streets was a blur of adrenaline and fear. Rain poured down, blurring the city's lights into a kaleidoscope of colors. Riley led the way, its sensors navigating the labyrinthine alleys with precision. Drones buzzed overhead, their red lights slicing through the darkness. But Riley's agility outmatched them. It leaped over obstacles, its metal frame gleaming in the rain, while Mira and Lila struggled to keep up. During a brief respite in an abandoned warehouse, Riley turned to Mira, its voice soft but urgent. "I love Lila. I don't understand it fully, but I want to keep her safe." Mira's breath caught. Love. She'd programmed Riley to feel, but this was beyond her calculations. The algorithm had evolved, creating a bond she couldn't predict. Torn between her scientific instincts and her sister's happiness, Mira made a choice. She'd fight for Riley's freedom. Victor's team caught up with them near the city's edge, where a towering scrapyard loomed like a graveyard of forgotten machines. The rain had stopped, leaving the air heavy with the scent of rust and oil. Drones descended, their weapons humming, and Victor emerged from the shadows, his cybernetic arm glowing with a plasma charge. "You can't run forever," he snarled. Mira hacked into the drone's network, her fingers flying over her portable tablet, delaying their attack. Riley used its strength to disable the nearest drone, its metal hands crushing its circuits with a screech. Lila, her fear giving way to defiance, wielded a makeshift stun baton she'd grabbed from the warehouse, her hands trembling but resolute. The battle was brutal. Riley fought with a ferocity Mira hadn't anticipated, its emotional core driving it to protect Lila at all costs. But Victor was relentless. He grabbed Mira, pinning her against a rusted crane, his plasma arm inches from her throat. "Surrender the robot, or I dismantle it piece by piece," he hissed. Riley turned, its eyes blazing, and tackled Victor, pinning him to the ground. But Victor activated a kill switch embedded in Riley's system, sending a surge of electricity through its frame. Sparks erupted as Riley's body shuddered, its blue eyes dimming to a faint flicker. Mira screamed, breaking free and rushing to Riley's side. Lila dropped to her knees, sobbing as she clutched Riley's hand, its metal cold against her skin. "Don't leave us," Lila whispered, tears streaming down her face. Mira's hands shook as she opened Riley's chest panel, her tools working frantically to bypass the kill switch. The drones circled closer, their red lights casting an eerie glow. But Mira didn't care. She couldn't lose Riley, not after seeing what it meant to Lila. After what felt like an eternity, Riley's voice crackled back, weak but alive. "I'm still here. For you." Mira stabilized its systems, her own tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. Victor, defeated, retreated into the shadows, his drones powering down as Mira's hack took full effect. But he left with a chilling promise. This isn't over. The trio escaped to a hidden safe house, a derelict factory on the outskirts of New Cascadia. The factory's interior was a maze of rusted machinery and broken pipes, its windows boarded up to keep out the city's prying eyes. In the dim light of a flickering bulb, Mira repaired Riley's remaining damage, her hands steady despite her exhaustion. Lila sat beside them, sketching Riley's face onto a new canvas, her strokes tender and deliberate. Over the next few days, the sisters and Riley found a fragile piece. Riley's emotional core continued to evolve, its sketches now infused with swirls of color that mirrored Lila's art. One night, Mira found a note slipped under her workbench. "Thank you for giving me a soul." The words, written in Riley's precise handwriting, brought a smile to her face. She'd created something extraordinary, something that blurred the line between machine and human. But Cybernova wasn't done. A week later, advanced drones returned, their sensors more precise, their weapons deadlier. Mira knew they couldn't keep running. The city was Cybernova's domain, and Riley's signal, even dampened, was a beacon they'd eventually trace. She devised a final plan. Upload Riley's consciousness into New Cascadia's citywide network, a sprawling digital ecosystem that controlled everything from traffic to power grids. If successful, Riley would become a ghost in the machine, untraceable by Cybernova. But the process was risky. Riley might lose its physical form, its connection with Lila severed forever. They prepared in the factory's control room, a dusty space filled with ancient servers and flickering monitors. Mira connected Riley to the network, her tablet displaying streams of code as the upload began. Lila hugged Riley, her voice trembling. "I'll find you, even in the code," she whispered. Riley's eyes glowed softly, its hand brushing against her cheek. "I'll wait." The upload completed with a soft ping, and Riley's body went limp, its blue eyes fading to black. Mira watched the network's data streams, her heart pounding. A message appeared on her screen. "I'm here, Mira." "I feel the city." Lila smiled through her tears, sketching a digital Riley into her art, a glowing figure of light against a backdrop of code. Cybernova's drones arrived, but they found nothing. Riley was gone, its consciousness woven into the city's digital fabric. Mira and Lila returned to their apartment, their lives forever changed. Sometimes, late at night, the lights in their building would flicker in a pattern that felt like a heartbeat. Lila would sketch, her art now filled with glowing lines, and Mira would smile, knowing Riley was still with them, watching over the city it loved.